Hmm, I wonder what would happen if I lit this on fire. Welcome to Secrets for an Awesome Life. You ever see someone living a pretty awesome life and wonder, man, do they know secrets that I don't? Yes, they do. And this podcast is about those secrets. I'm your host, Joey Mascio, certified life coach, educator, and counselor for teens and young adults. Welcome to my show. Hey everyone, I'm so excited for this episode because I have on my very first guest. He's a good friend of mine and I can't wait for you to meet him. There's also something else I can't wait to tell you about, my next teen leadership class. It has an official start date, March 15th, 2021. I'm enjoying the teens in the first class so much that I decided I want to start another one. So stick around at the end of the podcast to find out more about this opportunity to work with me. And now, episode 33. Did you burn your future? First period ended and Ben was the first one to leave Mrs. Gunner's 7th grade math class. He wasn't exactly a fan of having math as the first class of the day. It was hard enough to stay awake in any math class, let alone one that started at 8 a.m. But what made it better was that he got to meet up with his two friends before second period started. He saw Jack running out of art class rather quickly. Jack spotted Ben and headed right for him. Ben shouted, "Hey Jack, what's the rush? Sup? What? Oh, nothing." Jack was looking more suspicious than usual. "Hey Ben, could you do me a favor?" Sure, great. Could you hold my rubber cement?" And Jack pulled out a little glass bottle with a screw-on lid from his pocket. Ben knew that it wasn't exactly his rubber cement. It was what they use in art class to glue projects together. But Ben took it anyway. Sure." And before he could say anything else, Tony, their other friend, ran up and started talking about the latest thing he had set on fire with his brand new Zippo lighter. Tony had been on a pyro kick for a few months now. Ben kept the rubber cement in his backpack all day long, and it made him a little nervous. Ben considered himself a knucklehead kid, a term used by one of his favorite teachers at school. I mean, he liked having fun, messing around, getting into a little bit of trouble here and there, but holding on to something he pretty sure was stolen made him feel uneasy. After school, Ben got on the bus and headed toward the back where Jack and Tony were already sitting. Jack leaned over to Ben. "Hey, could I get my rubber cement back?" Ben couldn't get it out of his backpack fast enough. He sneakily started to slide it to Jack, but before Jack could take it, Tony said, "Hey, let's see what happens if we set that on fire." His lighter was out in a flash. Ben's nervousness was replaced with curiosity. "Yeah, I wonder what would happen if we set it on fire." Ben unscrewed the cap and held the bottle up to Tony. Tony lit his Zippo and put the flame up to the little bit of rubber cement stuck on the opening. Now, Ben had a few thoughts in that moment. "I bet this is going to smell horrible. Tony sure does like fire. I wonder if it will even catch." Well, Ben would have known the answer to that last question if he had read the giant red warning on the label that said, "Warning, extremely flammable." The moment the fire touched it, the rubber cement went up in flames, large, bright red and orange flames. Ben didn't know what to do. The flames were tall and hot. His face and arms were feeling the heat. Jack yelled out, "Dude, put the cap back on! Put the cap back on!" Ben tried, but the flames were just too intense. Tony shouted, "The window!" Ben looked up and saw that the side-by-side windows at the end of their row were both open. Ben chucked the bottle and it flew through the air and hit the thin metal bar between the two openings. The bottle ricocheted back toward them, spinning and flinging flaming rubber cement all over the back of the bus. The boys all ducked as fireballs flew, scattershot, all around them. A glob landed on Ben's pants. He slapped at it frantically, trying to put it out. Another glob landed on Jack's shoe, and a bunch landed all over the seats, burning holes into the hard black plastic. The bus driver saw the flames in his rear view mirror and yelled, "What is going on back there?" He pulled over the bus, and all the students had to evacuate, including Tony with his Zippo lighter, Jack with his holy shoe, and Ben with his singed pants. After that, Ben had a talk with several different adults. His principal told Ben, "You've ruined your life." A leader at church said, "You won't be able to serve a mission with a record like this. They don't let arsonists represent the church." One of his other friends' mom told him that he couldn't come over anymore and said, "We don't want you to burn down our house." It didn't take Ben long to realize that his life would never be the same. His choice had forever limited the possibilities that were once open to him. Ben's story goes on. And do you want to know what happened to him? He was fine. He went to college, got a degree, got a job as a teacher, and eventually became a high school principal. And he became my good friend and coaching colleague at Firmly Founded. And we have Ben Pugh with us today. Ben, what'd you think of your story?
And that was awesome. I got to tell you, I've told that story hundreds of times, and listening to you tell it puts me right back there. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So good.
Good, good. You know what? I'm having a lot of fun with this. I can't wait to do this more. You're my first guest, by the way, a place of honor.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and so just doing it almost like it's a movie of your this moment in your life. And so I had a lot of fun writing it. It's such a great story. I've heard you tell it a bunch. I love that story. Ben, what is the secret for an awesome life that you learned from this story?
I think the secret is to embrace whatever happens in your life and you create the narrative around it. For so long, I was limited by the narrative that the adults in my life were telling me, like, man, you've ruined your life. You won't be able to serve a mission. And I would just tell you, like, I know from experience, when we make mistakes, there's that little brief instant that's like, oh, I just want to go back in time and change it. But you can't. And anytime you focus on going back in time, that's something outside of your control. So control the narrative, control the story that you tell about it, and just trust, oh, yeah, somehow lighting a school bus on fire or whatever it is in your life, just trust, oh, somehow that is connected to the future of my dreams and just keep moving forward.
I love that. I love that so much. And I have to ask, did somebody really say that you wouldn't be able to serve a mission?
Yeah, it was one of my church leaders, bless his soul. Like he's doing the very best. And then he's like, oh, sorry, you're not going to be able to serve a mission because they don't send arsonists out on the mission. So I went to Google, which back in those days was my mom. And I was like, Mom, what is an arsonist? I had no idea, but I just knew whatever it was, I was it. And I couldn't go on a mission, which, side note, he was completely wrong. Like nobody cared. They're like, oh, yeah, that happened when you're what, 13? Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, well, I think that's a classic example for all the teens and young adults listening, is that the adults in your life are trying to do their best, right? They really want you to make good decisions, and some of them think that if they say something really like impactful, and whether they know it's wrong or not and totally accurate, right? They're just trying to get you to want to change. Good intentions, not the best strategy in my opinion. But some, adults out there, we don't know what we're doing. We're just doing the best that we know how to do.
Yeah. And like it's common in our culture, society, like we parent, we motivate, we do all this out of sheer or shame and fear. Like, oh no, if you do that, you're going to ruin your life. And that's not a good place to live your life from. So back when I was ashamed of what I did, like I would hide from it, I'd get embarrassed, I wouldn't talk about it. But as a principal, I realized, no, this is something I need to share. And after sharing it, people would be like, oh, yeah, well, that's why you're such a good principal. You've been there, you understand. And having that story and knowing, oh, okay, this just gave me experience. This empowered me. I literally, or figuratively, I don't know. I used to be an English teacher and I still say I'm wrong, but that is my superpower. The fact that I messed up and I understand that, hey, I can recover from anything, and not only recover, I can be better from having experienced that.
Yeah, I love it. I would almost word it as you were talking. I was like, man, what like the secret is almost like nothing you have done has ruined your life,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Nothing you have done has ruined your life. And so, how can you move forward? How can you use this to your advantage? I like to think of it. I'm kind of a Harry Potter nerd. I don't know if any of
Me
you guys
too.
are. Yeah. The sword of Gryffindor, no matter what it does, it gets stronger from that. Like it stabs a basilisk and now it's more powerful. It ruins a Horcrux. Now it's more powerful. Like we have the ability that no matter what we experience, now we're better. Now we're stronger. No matter what you experience, it can be for your good if you choose to make it that way.
So, question that might be on some people's minds as they're listening, or maybe even some parents who listen to my podcast as well. Wait a minute, my kid can't think that they can just do anything and their life will be fine. That's going to let them go do anything, and then now they're going to be purposefully setting school buses on fire, right? Like, I mean, and going, that's okay, mom, I can't ruin my life, you know. So, what do you say to that?
I would say there are always consequences that come with your choices. There's always positive consequences and there's always negative consequences. One of the things that I do when I work with both parents and teenagers, but mostly the teens, I'm like, all right, so what are the benefits of what you did? And they'll be like, oh, well, I got to hang out with my friends. I got to do all this. Like so many times we try and ignore the benefits. And I'm like, okay, so what were the negative consequences? And they're like, oh, yeah, this part sucked. And now I'm in trouble and I don't have a phone. I would say anytime you're a teenager, or if you're a teenager, if you make a mistake, look at it and identify, all right, yeah, there were some pros there, but here's the disadvantage. So in the future, like I am never ever going to set a bus on fire again. I learned my lesson. There were some pretty sucky negative consequences. And so for any parents listening, just know like it isn't your job to make your teenager do the right thing and make the right decisions. When they make mistakes, help them understand the consequences. Help them understand, oh yeah, life just has this way of you do this, here's the consequences. Because that will empower them to realize, oh, I don't like to do that. I'm going to make a change for me.
I love that. I love that so much. So, yeah, we're definitely not advocating go out and do whatever you want, but you always have the choice to go out and do whatever you want, right? And really thinking about what you want to do. I think that will help you make the choices that will get you to where you want to go in the future. And the main message here is anything you've done in the past that you think is holding you back, is limiting you, is actually not limiting you. You can still go be that person, become the person you want to be. In fact, that's one of my favorite quotes, but I always forget who says it. It might be anonymous, which is why I don't remember, but it's never too late to be what you might have been. And I usually go, well, unless I'm an 80-year-old, I can't be a ballerina, can I? But you get the point, right? Ben, thank you so very much for being my first guest, where I got to take your story and just rehash it and tell it to my audience. Thank you very much. For everybody who doesn't know Ben, me and Ben work together in Firmly Founded. He's one of the 4 amazing, awesome coaches that we have. He is specifically our parent of teen expert. So, Ben, if there are any parents listening, where would they find you?
Yeah, so I actually host my own podcast. It's called Impact Parenting with Perspective. It is geared towards parents. So, parents, go listen. But my teenager always tells me, Dad, Joey's podcast is so much cooler than yours. Yes, because Joey's talking to you teenagers and I'm talking to the parents. So I have that podcast. And then Probably the best place to find me is on our Firmly Founded website. You can just go to firmlyfounded.com. You can scroll down. My picture is there. You can click on there and you can get in touch with me there if you want.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely do that. Especially, I always tell people this, right? When a parent brings me a teen or a young adult and is like, oh, I want you to coach them. And I find out the young adult doesn't want to be coached, right? I go, well, hey, when your kid doesn't want to be coached, that's when you need coaching. And then I just point them in Ben's direction. And I go, Ben's amazing. You'll be in good hands. Let Ben coach you if your teen or young adult does not want to be coached. So I definitely highly recommend Ben. Me and him were both trained at the exact same place, the Life Coach School. And we both have very similar backgrounds in education. And yeah, so Ben, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I look forward to working with you again soon.
Hey teens, if this episode's story resonated with you and you're thinking, man, yeah, I feel like the decisions that I've made in the past are totally leading my life now and in the future, then you need to sign up for my teen leadership class. In this class, I teach you the skills and the mindset on how to not let your past define where your future is going to go. It's absolutely amazing. It's really fun. So go get your parents and head over to firmlyfounded.com/leadership to find out more about my teen leadership class, where you can lead your life in the direction you want it to go.